I said, Chris, you were wrong. Julius should have been an all-star. Not only that, we are better than the Pacers, who you dogged on us for the longest. We are better than the Celtics. And honestly, I can say we're better than the Heat, but I can't really say that because they beat us 3 times this year. I really can't say that. But they're lucky. They're lucky we didn't have Rob. They're lucky we didn't have Rob, because if we would have had Rob last night, it would have been a whole problem for your boy Bam Bam Adebayo. And I don't care what you got to say. And that's how I'm coming today. That's how I'm coming to this podcast.
It's all because of your boy Reggie Bullock.
Reggie Bullock. I'm on Reggie Bullock.
I agree with you, Harry. I take everything I said back. Episode 3, episode 4 about shipping Reggie Bullock. Hey, listen, I got the target 3 like Bullock.
Sign him an extension.
I don't know about all that, because yesterday he was throwing a lot of bricks up. He wasn't really in the flow, but I'm okay. I'm okay with it. Even Alec Burks has a little place in this tiny heart of mine. He actually does. I didn't believe in him. I wasn't a believer in the Alec Burks, but you know what? He's played solid for us.
I like Alec Burks.
Is it sad to say that, like, if we need a bucket, it's likely like either Julius Randle or Alec Burks that's getting us that bucket? Is that?
Oh, well, let's not forget about RJ. Let's not forget. Easy.
I think it's Alec Burks over RJ, though. Dude. The way that I've seen the game's played, the ball's been going to him. The ball's been going that way is all I'm saying. I'm not saying that.
It wasn't going that way last night, but we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
I just think RJ's an all-around tough-ass player. Yo, Zion, another – okay, we got to start.
Welcome to True Ballers Podcast. If you haven't heard, me and A-Ben's a little bit on the hype train right now with the New York Knicks. We're gonna talk a little bit. We're gonna stray away from that because the Knicks did not have any involvement in the trade deadline. We're gonna talk a little bit about the trade deadline, what went on last week.
Well, we did get rid of Austin Rivers and we picked up Ferguson, but hey, that's an afterthought for right now. That's not really doing anything. So we're gonna talk about the Nets, unfortunately, which we do every single podcast. We're going to talk about – I want to quickly start with updated MVP standings, because since we last spoke, unfortunately, our guy, the king of basketball, LeBron James, out with a high ankle sprain, probably out almost the remainder of the regular season. They're saying 6 to 8 weeks. Who really knows? This guy is bionic. He could come back in 4. But I think as long as he's out for as long as they're saying – it's going to be hard for him to win MVP because dude, the Lakers without him and AD are, oh my God. But they got a big pickup. They got a big pickup who I think is going to end up helping and shoring their big men situation up.
They did. But we'll see if it. I'm curious to see how it does without AD and LeBron to start.
Hey, listen, he's a career 14 rebound per game average rebounder, so I think he's going to have some type of effect, but we'll get into that.
But I definitely agree. But regardless, LeBron MVP is going to be tough. So to me, I want to talk about 2 guys that I think it's really 2 guys right now. And I think this might be a controversial my second guy might be controversial. I'm going to go 1, Jokic. I think Jokic is number 1.
I had him.
I know you did, Abez. I know you did. And number 2.
I know what you're going to say.
I got James
Is he a point guard? Is he a point guard?
James Harden is right now the number 2 in my opinion, for MVP.
Now, I'm not going to lie to you. That did catch me a little off guard.
I know you were gonna go with Dame.
No. I was gonna go with the other one on the Brooklyn Nets, Kyrie.
Bro, Kyrie's James Harden has. If you look at the numbers, Harden has done way more. I mean, Kyrie's also been dogging, but I feel like Harden's just been on.
He's having a career year, like all around career year. From
whoever said that he wouldn't score 27 points a game probably doesn't feel great right now.
I don't, but it's not.
Okay.
I don't feel great about that bet, but Kyrie.
I think he'll be fine.
So Kyrie, so Abeds, just to put it in perspective. So Kyrie right now, 28, 5, and 6, and that's being generous with the rounding.
And then we got to also look at his efficiency and his shooting, because I have not seen someone miss a week or two and come back and just, it seems like he's been playing every single game. Does it again last night, and I can't undermine that. And that's why I have Kyrie as my second MVP behind Jokic. I will agree with you. Jokic completely turned the Nuggets around. Oh, by the way, big Aaron Gordon's out there now. So maybe the Nuggets might be a problem, as you did earlier in the season in the preseason rankings. But I do got to say right now, Jokic is just, he's been consistent. He's been doing it for a couple seasons now. But I gotta give love to Kyrie, man. That's a bad man.
He's been dogging, bro. But let me just say this. James Harden averaging 26, 8, and 11 assists. I think he averages the most assists in the league, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
and look, like, I get it. He left Houston in a blaze of glory, right? Like he was like, fuck this. Excuse my language, but he's like, fuck this. I'm out.
Kids earmuffs.
Kids earmuffs. He's like, fuck this. I'm out. I don't like it here anymore. And I got to tell you, I feel like he's hated it there for the past 4 years, 3 years, 4 years. And I think it's been in the back of his mind, he's actually not wanted to be in Houston, because I think he's like, get Chris Paul, like that'll make me happy. Get Russell Westbrook, that'll make me happy. I think he just wanted to be with two other a-hole basketball players like Kyrie and Kevin Durant, who, by the way, I don't know if anyone saw, I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if it's real, the tweet that him and Michael Rappaport going back and forth, and him calling Michael Rappaport a dumb bitch, and Michael Rappaport coming back him, and it was crazy. I don't know if you all saw that. I sent it to the True Ballers pod group chat, but if you guys haven't seen that, look it up, because it's crazy. Bro.
Well, Harry, it's no secret that it's the Brooklyn Nets, and they have 3 drama queens. We got Kyrie, the main diva, but surely 1A to 1B is going to be KD. I will agree with you on the Harden aspect. I don't think the way he's playing now is, from what I'm hearing,
he's playing better than Kyrie right now.
He says, I've always wanted to play this way. So I don't think he always wanted to be this dribble head who was scoring all the time and had all the pressure of the world on his shoulders. This is why he never he could never get to the finals. He can never win the big game. People started saying that he was choking. Manu Ginobili was blocking him. Couldn't beat the Warriors. So I don't think he was in a position where he felt, I think he just felt that he was doing too much. I think he's a little more lax. He's more comfortable. He's running the offense. So I can't disagree with you by saying, he's not playing superb or whatnot. But I still don't believe that he is the MVP of that team, because he hasn't been there all year. Kyrie's been there from jump, even when KD wasn't there for the first couple of weeks. He's been there from the jump, and he's been consistent. And every time Kyrie plays, they seem to win.
James Harden is, we gotta let Chris jump.
Gotta let Chris. Chris, this is your team.
I'm just enjoying all the applause that I'm hearing from my two guys. I'm just enjoying. I'm just sitting back and enjoying. I don't even need to say anything. Like, it's funny so far.
Let me say this. First of all, I think the word you're looking for, Benz, is Harden is finally happy. He's a happy guy right now. He's with 2 other drama queens just like him. He hates the world. He hates the media. They hate the world. They hate the media. No, they're good guys off the court. Let me just rephrase that. They don't hate the world. They just hate the world of basketball outside of the play.
The media.
The media, basically. The media and coaches and, and the front offices and all that. But they also with Harden, it's like the guy in Bad News Bears, I forget his name, Kelly. I think the kid Kelly that comes in and starts just catching all the fly balls, hitting all the home runs. And he was just that extra piece that they needed to get the Bad News Bears to the World Series. James Harden is Kelly from the Bad News Bears. James Harden is that guy who, now that KD's out, has been the guy that they needed to really just stomp on the regular season.
without Harden, they're probably not a 1 seed in the East, right? In my opinion. And the guy's averaging nearly a triple-double, putting up a triple-double almost every game. His numbers are probably up even too from when he was with Houston. So I don't know. To me, Harden is my number 2. And I don't care that he bullied his way out of Houston. He's putting up the best number one. He's putting up top numbers in the league on, unfortunately, I have to admit this, the favorites to win the championship because of who they got, their assets, and the fact that LeBron and AD are out. A lot has changed since the last time we spoke. So don't hate me for what I said before. I'm admitting now they are the favorites to win the championship because of everything that went down the past 2 weeks. Chris, all that said, what's on your mind with the Nets?
Oh, so many things.
Wait. Can I ask you a question to spark this?
Yeah, for sure.
Didn't you want to do this the right way? You've been waiting for this your whole life, for the Nets to be a good team, to be a good franchise. It doesn't make you a little uneasy that this is what's going down. This is how you're doing it. You're getting these 2 guys that randomly are like, yeah, we'll just go win a championship for Brooklyn. And then they get James Harden. And then they get Blake Griffin, and then they get LaMarcus Aldridge.
Bunch of sellouts. That's what I see. But that's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're talking about.
Doesn't that make you uneasy, Chris?
Does it make me uneasy? No.
Yeah, doesn't that make you a little uneasy? I feel like that's not how I'd want to win, bro. That's not how it's cheating.
You know what the good news is? If honestly, if people are worried about us getting Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge, then they can go kick rocks. Because let's be honest, LaMarcus Aldridge, he might not even play 12 minutes come playoffs time. Like, if that, I hope he doesn't, honestly. Nick Claxton might be our best center, period. Blake Griffin, who I think has decent offensive abilities, he can pass, he's learned how to shoot over his career, but he's not going to be doing anything crazy. At the end of the day, it's going to be about this big 3. At the end of the day, let me start with the MVP voting, and I got to pay a little bit of homage to our LeBron James, the king, because I feel really bad for him. There was a massive groundswell, I feel like, in the media. I feel like everyone and their mother, in terms of the voters, wanted him to be healthy, to finish out the season, to have a top seed, so that they could bestow upon him an MVP that he is rightfully deserved for at least a handful of the past X amount of years, if not for a majority of his career. I feel like there was just this narrative that was being created that Harry and Abens, we just didn't see coming, because it was just like, oh, it's LeBron. He's good. They expect him to go off. It doesn't really matter, blah, blah, blah. But I feel really bad. I love LeBron, big LeBron guy. So I feel bad about that. But with that being said, I don't think James Harden will be the MVP. However, watching him play, there's no doubt in my mind that he could very well be the best player in basketball, at least on the court throughout the course of the season that he's been on the Nets, because he just is so unstoppable on the offensive side of the ball. Not talking about defense, but let's leave the defense out of this one. But with the ball in his hand, and even without the ball in his hand, but most importantly, with the ball in his hand, the guy is unstoppable. Seeing him and his ability to get to the rim, get to the rack, take contact, and finish, even though he gained some weight and put on some pounds, I'm not sure if it didn't just help him, because he's throwing his weight into people. He's just throwing his weight into people. They're bouncing back an extra 6 inches, and he's like, oh, I got a gap right here, and I'm right under the rim. Put it in right there. So he's leading the league in assists. He's doing it largely without Kevin Durant being there. He's doing it largely with Kyrie just deciding to, go off on birthday sprints with his family and friends and have a good time. The man would deserve an MVP, but at the same time, he doesn't, because of the way that he left Houston. I think Jokic is in a great spot. If Joel Embiid didn't also go down, like that was the thing this year. We knew there was going to be a lot of injuries. Joel Embiid finally going down again was predictable, to say the least. But
sucks. That I'm sad about that too.
I'm sad about that too. He's definitely what I would, if I was starting a team and you said that you were going to get a healthy player of the one you picked for an entire season, I'm sure I'm sure Joel Embiid would be the first center off the board, because the he's a bad man. He's a bad man. But I think Jokic at this point, from start to finish, he started off the year red hot, averaging a triple-double. The team's playing well. They started to pick it up after a slow start, even when he was putting up gaudy numbers. I got no issue with him being the MVP because, if anything, Denver's got to get something. They got to get something. They've been so good for so long that I feel like the writers are just going to throw him a bone. And I'm not sure if he deserves from a defensive side of the ball, but all in all, I would probably say that Jokic deserves to be the MVP from what the writers most likely think over Harden.
Yeah, 100% over Harden. And that's what I'm saying. I think Harden, and I think Kyrie's a good point. I didn't think
James. Don't leave. Don't ever leave.
I didn't think about Kyrie, honestly. I didn't think about Kyrie in the MVP because honestly, and it's kind of hypocritical because James Harden's also kind of, to the way he left Houston and all that, but Kyrie's just missed a lot of games, like just for not no reason, but we just don't know why. And that's a little concerning from an MVP standpoint. But I think, it's the same with Harden. Like, the same reason people are saying they're not going to vote for Harden because he's the way he left Houston. So I guess you could say the same thing.
But it's also a fact they're on a super team. They're on a super team. The writers
but they're still putting up these numbers and winning, bro.
Of course, but
they're the best team in the league.
I can count on both of my hands how many times they've all been on the court together. Actually, I could probably count on one hand the amount of times they've actually been on the court all together. So that's why.
It's incredible, man. It's incredible, and I'm pissed off. And I'm pissed
if you want to join the bandwagon, I mean, the invite's still there. A-Benz, if you want to join the bandwagon,
I'm all about our net. You see us in the beginning of this podcast, right? We're on. We got, like I said, we want to win the right way. We want to do this the right way.
Just say
we're building a franchise.
Listen, I bleed orange and blue on the hardwood, and I bleed orange and blue on the diamond. You're not going to change me.
I'm just saying.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right. Let's do a little throwback segment right here. This is impromptu. Real or reel it in? Real or reel it in? Aaron Gordon on the Nuggets. A-Benz, what you got to say about Aaron Gordon going to the Nuggets?
I think that is a power move for them, honestly. I think Aaron Gordon doing pretty well on the Orlando Magic over the past couple of years. Came into the league just being a dunker. He can run the point. He's a facilitator. He can shoot the three. He can slash. We know he can jump out the gym. So I think this is a big pickup for them because we talked about it in a couple earlier episodes. We touched base on the Nuggets a couple times. And I think the one thing that we kept saying was they have Jokic and they have Jamal Murray. But after that, we were questioning MPJ, Gary Harris, who's no longer there. We were asking who can be that three? And I think that Aaron Gordon for sure can be that three. His first game, I want to say he had 13 or 14 points, played really solid out there. And I just think it's a huge pickup. So I'm going to have to say that this is real. I think that right now, with that addition, along with the team they definitely have it. You know what I like to say? My favorite phrase for the Jazz, they have a puncher's chance in the West. And in general, the West it's looking
wide
tough
open right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's wide open right now. Like
it is very wide open. And we're not talking about the Suns, but since we talked about the Suns, they haven't lost that much. I think they might have lost 1 or 2 games. It's been a while. So I think this is a great addition for the Denver Nuggets. They've been trending up since like week 4 after starting off slow. And they're just going to keep trending up, I think. And once Jokic, Jamal Murray, I think they got Will the Throw Barton still. And all them boys out there, start clicking, start meshing come playoff time. I think Mike Malone's going to really execute X's and O's, and they're going to be successful. So I think their limit, their ceiling is up to them. They're young, they're athletic, and they can run. And they can play defense.
I actually think I agree with A-Benz in a way. I think it's real. It's real. And I don't think it's real in that it makes them an all out, like, oh, I would take them in the West over anyone else. But
are they better now than, with Aaron Gordon than they would have been without him?
I think that's
the real question.
I think it nearly equalizes them to last year when they had a Jeremy Grant. And that was something you noted too, Harry, early in the season, where it was like, oh, Jeremy Grant. He came in and he was doing really good off the bench. He was doing really good as like a fourth or fifth option for them, especially he played big in the playoffs against Kawhi and PG and the entire LA Clippers. And I feel like Aaron Gordon can do that. I still think Michael Porter Jr. in the offensive side of the ball is their third option, far and away above Aaron Gordon, in my humble opinion. But at the same time, I think it makes them so that they are kind of right on par. And I think they're probably slightly better because it's another year continuity. It's another year where they're under Mike Malone. They continue to get better in terms of Jamal Murray, just growing as a point guard. And he was struggling early in the season. He started to turn it around. But all in all, when I look, they took Utah they obviously beat Utah. They went to the wire with them. I'm not sure if Utah hasn't outgrown them slightly in a way, but I think Aaron Gordon makes it interesting again. I can't wait to see a series between any one of the LA teams, Denver, Utah. I think that they are to me the four people far and away. And I put the Suns slightly behind the rest of them, just because I think in a 7-game series that even though they have Chris Paul, the inexperience might show against
And
some of
not
these
enough
more
firepower
mature
either.
teams.
I don't believe.
They haven't been there.
So I'll say that it's real. If AD is and LeBron aren't as healthy as they need to be, they probably have, as A-Benz would like to say, a puncher's chance against the Clippers. I still like the Clippers a little bit more than them. And they would probably have a puncher's chance against Utah because they showed it last year. So that's where I'm at with them. I think they're real. Yeah. They're a legitimate Western Conference contender, but not a championship contender like my Nets,
Let's all right. Let's not forget with Utah though. Like we're comparing last year, but they didn't have Bogdanovich, who is huge for them, and Clarkson is playing at another level than he was playing last year. I think they're a better team than they were last year. Agreed. And I think the Nuggets, I think Jeremy Grant is a better scorer than Aaron Gordon, in my opinion.
But they don't need Aaron Gordon to score.
No. Well, I think it's real. Okay. I think it's real because I think they do need Aaron Gordon to score to an extent, because I don't know if Michael Porter Jr. is ready to be that third option on a championship contending team. I don't think he's ready. Jeremy Grant was the third. Like Michael Porter Jr. was everybody's, third best guy on the team, third best ceiling on the team. But Jeremy Grant was the third guy, if they needed a bucket, that was going to go get the bucket, right? I don't think MPJ has taken the step up that he needed to be that third guy.
So I'm going to break it down real quick and real easy for y'all. MPJ is not going to be the third option. They want him to be the third option, but I don't think he's there yet. Aaron Gordon's going to provide that third scoring along with Will Barton. But I think that Aaron Gordon was playing for the Magic his whole career. I mean, the Orlando Magic haven't been good since I can't remember when, but I do remember them going to the playoffs a couple years back. If not, was it last year in the bubble? And they beat Milwaukee the first game, and then obviously they didn't fare too well after that. Mm-hmm. But I think he was a big part of it, and I think that he's never played with players the caliber of Jamal Murray and Jokic. So I think this is going to give him more opportunity and more space to score. So I do see him being that third option, and I'm calling it right now. His average will go up.
I'll just put it this way. Harry, let me say one thing on this. When it comes to Michael Porter Jr., the kid's averaging, and let me make sure that I have the stat right because I don't want to get it wrong. He's averaging 16 points a game. He's actually upped his field goal percentage from last year from 51% to 52%, actually 53% if you want to round up there. All right. And then his three-point percentage, and he's doubled his 3-point attempts, has gone up to 44%. The guy is a bucket waiting to happen. So I think that saying that Aaron Gordon's going to be the third option offensively is tough, outside of the fact that Aaron Gordon was playing in Orlando, and I think he does need the ball in his hand for him to put up assists and put up points. I don't think Michael Porter Jr. is that kind of guy. I think that you just give him the ball, he's going to get a bucket some way.
Yeah, and real quick, A-Benz, you mentioned that Gordon hasn't played with guys of this caliber. I would actually say that Vucevic he's as close as he's not Jokic. No, he's not, and Jamal Murray is different position. Yeah. But Vucevic is one of the best centers in the league.
But Vucevic doesn't make the players around him better the way Jokic does. So I don't even think that's that's
But I
even a
don't
close
I don't agree
comparison.
with I don't agree with that. I think you're looking at you're purely looking at assists there.
No, I'm looking at controlling the game and being able to actually hold the
Jokic is all
ball.
right. Jokic is an all-time. Jokic is a Hall
And
of
that's
Fame
why
center.
you can't and that's why you, even though Vucevic is one of the best centers in the league, it's a reason why he's kind of been an afterthought in the league. I know he finally got picked up and he was shipped out of Orlando, which thank God finally, because he is a stud. But I can't put him. I can't even mention him in that realm. I could mention Jokic in that realm, Embiid in that realm. I'll even say Bam Adebayo is better than Vucevic. AD, like they just bring more to the table. I
don't think Bam does. I don't think Bam does. I'm telling you, Vucevic has been on the Magic, to your point, and is probably one of the most underrated players in the league.
I would agree. And I also think you're forgetting about Rudy Gobert. He might not have the same kind of effect on the offensive side of the ball, but defensively,
Rudy Gobert also
a dog.
And one last thing about Vucevic, he doesn't have that leadership quality that a team needs its center to be if the center is going to be at that high level. I think he's kind of a quiet guy. He not much interaction. I just don't see it. I don't think Aaron Gordon's ever played with these type of players all around this much depth. So that's the only reason I'm giving him the thumbs up to do well out there and for them to be real.
It makes no sense at all, but I feel like how fun would it have been if Vucevic went to the Nuggets? It makes absolutely no sense from Vucevic, like picturing Vucevic and Jokic out there together makes no sense logically, but also at the same time, both guys can shoot threes. Both guys can kind of spread the floor. Defensively, it would be a train wreck. It would be an absolute train wreck. But I was just thinking, I don't know. Offensively, that would have been a tough team to stop.
The Eastern Bloc Twin Towers right there.
Right? That's what I was thinking about too. Twin Towers coming back to Denver. But anyway, so we're talking about Vucevic. Why not talk about the Chicago Bulls, who picked up Vucevic, got rid of Wendell Carter.
Big move.
I'll start it off. I'm going real. I love what the Bulls have been doing. I like that they trust Zach LaVine because I think he's shown that he deserved it. I think this year he proved it. I think he's been fairly treated his whole career. I think people were a little uneasy about him. Can he shoot the three? Can he score big buckets? He can't be your best player if you're trying to win a championship, but he's a really, really, really great player. He could be one of your best three players on a championship team, in my opinion. Vucevic is another piece. And I think they got some really good stuff going on with Patrick Williams, Kobe White. And I think it was just a great addition by them. So I'm going real on the Vucevic. He's not a free agent till I think 2023. Zach LaVine is 2022. So, they'll have to see if they can re-sign him and get, a groove going, because this year it's a little late they're still, I think 9 or 10 in the East. It's a little late, maybe better. They might be better than that, but it's just a little late to kind of get the grooves going enough for them to make a serious run. But watch out next year. If they can get another pickup to make a trade, one more move, and they could be really like one of the best teams in the East. So I think next year's
and I think it's for that reason that you just mentioned that I'm going to have to reel this one in. I love the move. I think it's a great addition. I think they got a nice little young nucleus, like you mentioned, Kobe White, Zach LaVine. They're very tough. And then adding that center is just, that's just going to make them even better. But at the moment, as of right now, I still don't think, I think they have to make a big move this offseason, like you said. Can they pull it off? I think it's something that I'm going to have to see, and I'm going to have to wait for me to say, okay, these boys just got this person, or they got this person in the draft, or something like that, for me to say, you know what? Okay, they're real. But I like where they're going right now. But at the moment, I'm reeling them in right now.
And
it's tough. I'm right there.
I'm with you. I'm reeling in this season. I'm real for next season.
Yeah, I just need to see. I need to see a big move during the off season or in the draft. I need to see another move.
See, I think that they're real just for that, because I think if you just stuck with what they had, they're not attracting a big time free agent. Now I think they have a legit chance. I'm not sure who's exactly coming up free agency wise this year, but if you told me that even if they had let's say like a top tier scoring point guard that came available, and you put Kobe White on the bench, and you said, okay, Kobe White, you're going to be the sixth man. You're going to be a Lou Williams type chucker that comes out here and drops some buckets for us. That could be a legit team. If you add a wing to it, oh, good God, for sure, can continue to be a good team. So I think that it's real because I don't think the move was about this season. And like
It's
Harry mentioned,
not.
this
No.
isn't this
Yeah,
isn't a 1-year
sure.
rental on Vucevic. This is them saying we are in it because we are going to be a legitimate destination that's attractive to free agents. I don't think Wendell Carter was attractive to free agency. I don't think some of the other pieces that they lost were attractive in free agency, all that kind of stuff.
Vucevic is an all-star. Wendell
He's a
Carter is not
fantastic
even
player.
close.
He's a fantastic player. And I think if they got another Robin from one of these teams that have a big two per se, that can make them almost put them in a situation like the Milwaukee Bucks. Even though the Milwaukee Bucks clearly have Giannis, he's got his issues when it comes to being able to win in the playoffs because he's lacking more of an offensive game outside of being able to drive to the hole for the most part. And he's developing that. So credit to him. It's slowly starting to get more and more of that. But at the same time, they could be one of those teams that wins 50 games next year if they get the right piece or two in free agency. And maybe
That's and that's the only thing that's holding me back from saying it's real, because I don't know if Chicago's the destination that a lot of the free agents want to go, but I think, like as you mentioned, they're in position to make that move. Can they do it though? It's always
well, you got to be in it. You got to be in it. And
yeah.
if you think about what the Nets did a couple of years back before they had Kyrie and KD.
All right, let's bring the Nets back into this conversation.
If you want me to, I will. I will. If you look at if you grow the team right, if you have the right pieces around, and all of a sudden you get a guy here and a guy there to come, then it just has this magnetic pull. But you got to be in it to get those guys.
But since you are bringing up the Nets, look at what my Knicks are doing, and I think we can land someone big this year. And that's my note on the Knicks.
I would have the Bulls being a more attractive destination than the Knicks.
All right. It's not a free agent thing for the Bulls. That's the thing. It's a trade that needs to happen. It's dumping more picks, and that's what's gonna get. There's not that much on the free agent market for them this year. They're gonna have to find a trade, which I think they could. Right now the Miami Heat. We'll talk about another free signing that went down. Victor Oladipo. They traded for Victor Oladipo. They have two shooting guards on that team. If this doesn't work out, they'll probably move Oladipo. I could see that happening. Oladipo to Chicago. I know he's not everyone's favorite right now with the injuries and all that, but he's a really good player, and you could take what you want away from him. He was, he's one of the premier scorers in the league when he's healthy. So I think they could look out for a guy like that. Or even, maybe the Pacers try to make a move now that they got some assets. They got Brogdon, Karis LeVert, guys over there, and they're not really doing much this year. So there's moves that can be made. A lot of guys that I'm thinking about. The Pistons always looking to move guys. Who knows where Jeremy Grant is, right? So I think there's plenty of options. Their front office is going to have a busy offseason. I'll say that, because I don't think it's the free agent. I agree 100%. They're not the guys that the big free agents, the Giannis is not going to say, yeah, I want to go to Chicago. Even though Giannis is locked in for 5 years, he was the guy who was supposed to come out this year. If he did, he would not be saying, I want to go to Chicago. A lot of these guys are not looking to go to Chicago with the team that they have right now. But I think if they get a free agent, they get another good piece. It doesn't have to be the best player in the league. They could be a real threat in the East, and that makes them a serious free agent target for the following year. So hopefully we'll see what happens. I'm excited for them. Obviously, the Knicks are doing what the Knicks do. I'm glad that we didn't do too much this offseason. But what do we think? I know you guys kind of scoffed at the Oladipo in Miami, but just because I brought it up, what do we think? Real or reel it in?
I've watched the Miami Heat play plenty of times this year, and unlike any other team, I think they've had the most players just not, like, their top-notch players just not play for majority of the season, or someone's in and the other one's out. The only one that I've really seen consistently play is Bam Bam Adebayo. But I think this is a great pickup because I think they're starting to pick up. I know they were on a losing streak not too long ago. But I think now that all their pieces are coming together, I think we're going to start to see that run, like that playoff run. Can they get it done in the East? Probably not. And I think it's kind of a thing where it's like you have your centerpiece and Bam Bam Adebayo, and then you just picked up Victor Oladipo. But the injury question, can he stay healthy? Another thing, he's getting tossed around like a rag doll. And he's going from team to team, traded here and there. He's not really lasting in any of these franchises. So I don't know where his mental state's at. I know he didn't want to be in Houston. Definitely didn't want to be in Indiana. But can he make something happen in Miami? I hope so. But if they don't make it past the first or second round this year, did they succeed? Was it a successful season? I don't think so. So,
and they're probably moving him, like I said, right? I would think, again, like you said, a rag doll.
Exactly. And
To
but like
Chicago?
Miami, the one thing about Miami is they do have that shooting, and I think they have a solid big man in Adebayo. They picked up Trevor Ariza. I think that's good, not as in a player, but just as a mentor and as someone who understands the game. They still have Andre Iguodala. We know what Jimmy Buckets does. So I think it was a great pickup. We're just going to have to see how they mesh. But right now, I'm on the edge on this one. I can't even say real or reel it in because they're real at the moment because they made the move. But if they don't make it past the first or second round, was it a good season? Like, I don't know. It's kind of tough. I expected more.
Hey, Vance, I'll go right in on this. I reel it in.
Yeah. I hear that. I hear that.
I could be mistaken. I believe he's a free agent after this year too. So it's a 1-year rental. I think for Victor Oladipo, it's the best spot he could land in because I think that Heat culture, and like you said, Avance, coming from Indiana, coming from Houston, especially Houston when it was on the downturn.
20-game losing streak.
Yeah, on the downturn, like that's tough. But you put him on the Heat and you get Pat Riley in his ear, you get Eric Spoelstra in his ear. I think that's the best thing that's going to happen for him. And I'm excited to see how that kind of impacts him moving forward, not necessarily this year, but you just look at some of the other teams in the East. You look at Philly. You look at there's a team in New York, technically a borough of New York called Brooklyn that's pretty good. I'm not sure if we've mentioned them yet, but there's too many other options out there. Milwaukee they could possibly beat as they showed last year.
Hey, they're trending up. They're playing really well right now, and they made a big pickup.
But I just think when it comes down to it in the East, it's not going to make the difference. And because he's a 1-year rental, I'll reel it in.
Yeah. I can agree with that.
You're right on the Oladipo. He turned down the 2-year extension that the Rockets offered him. So yeah, he's a free agent after this year. So you're right. So they're not going to trade him, but I could see him going somewhere else, or even if he goes back there, like I could see him getting traded early next season.
I mean, he was in Orlando. He played well. Maybe he likes the state of Florida. You never know.
It's just last year he got.
In Orlando.
I'm telling you, bro, he's been in a lot of places.
I know.
It's a tough one for him. It sucks because I think like it's just one of those things where it's just unavoidable. He's had a few injuries now, and
before that bad injury in Indiana, who would have thought Oladipo would be getting traded like this? Well, I think Indiana was looking to re-sign him long term, if anything.
He's good enough to draw interest. But the idea of him seems to be better than the actual having of him for these teams, or at least the teams that get him, because they're not like Indiana's not a championship contender.
Yeah.
Houston at this point is not a championship contender. That's really the issue. So it's that he just hasn't found it on I think if he actually ended up on a championship team and won, there'd be a bidding war for him for no reason, just because of that type of
and that's where I think he'd be most successful in, not in one of these subpar / okay, they have an opportunity to contend, but they're definitely not the team that you want or would say, oh, they're going to go out and win the chip like the Lakers, Brooklyn Nets, or the Clippers. I think if you toss them in one of those teams, even Utah or the Nuggets, if you toss them on those teams, I think, it'd be like, oh my God, we have Victor Oladipo, and I think he'd have more of an impact. But on these subpar teams,
who would have guessed that people would be desiring JaVale McGee at trade deadlines? If he didn't all of a sudden win a championship with Golden State years back when he was the butt of jokes of the entire league, like winning a championship.
I think he's got 3 rings, doesn't he?
He's got a shit ton. Pardon me, kids. But Yeah, he's got a shit ton. So that's the thing where it's like you just if he ended up on a winning team, I wouldn't be shocked if all of a sudden we're talking about him in the same way that there's some other people out there on the trade market that all of a sudden like they have a little bit of a refurb on their image. I mean, Kyle Lowry is a prime example of that. No one really was interested in Kyle Lowry until all of a sudden, oh, he won a championship. He's got that pedigree. Let's try to make a trade for him. And then Toronto's just like, well, unless you offer me, your entire left arm and left leg and your other limb too, then sure, then we'll take it. So
I'll tell you what, they should have traded him. I don't understand.
100%.
Like, I get it from if you want to say like you want him to, I don't know, retire as a rat, but like he's not Kobe Bryant, like those are the guys. Yeah, and those are the guys that you do that for the guys that win you 6 rings, like the legends. Like Kyle Lowry's like he's great. I love him, like all power to him, but you don't keep Kyle Lowry, 36-year-old point guard, on a team that has no chance in the playoffs. They really don't.
And that is the reason why I think you do keep him. I think the Raptors right now just show the classy organization they are. They're showing love to one of the guys that's been there for a while. He's been through the up and downs, and the only championship they have, Kyle Lowry was that starting point guard. I'm not saying he balled out, but he played tough defense. He's gritty. He emphasizes what the Raptors are up there in Canada, especially for that championship run where they play tough, man. They play nitty and gritty. So I commend the organization for doing that. I think he might retire after this season, and I think maybe he had a talk with the front office and let them know that. That's the only scenario why I could see the organization keeping him. He's like, I'm going to retire after this season. Okay, Kyle, we'll make sure you stay here. But aside from that, what was that?
Well, then wouldn't you want to get something for him?
I feel like you would, but I feel like if somebody told me, hey, listen, this player's going to bring you a ring to a team, an expansion team that never had a ring, that never won a championship, that never smelled the finals. I think he was a big part of that. And I think that it's just the organization. It's just Canadians being who they are, very friendly people and good to theirs.
Yeah. I just think about it a little bit different.
No, I think I got this one. I think I got what you're trying to, because even he might not retire, but maybe they don't want to just ship him off to whoever gave him the most. Maybe they said, all right, Kyle, stay. You're going into free agency next year. You go pick your destination. Go try to win it.
From what I've been hearing,
next year. So that way they're not just saying like, oh, we're just going to ship you off and treat you like you're X, Y, and Z.
But what it's a win.
I think they should.
In my opinion, it's a win-win because you're saying, Kyle, you're trading him to a championship contender probably, right? You're saying, Kyle, go win another championship and then you have free agency and we get assets. Like it's literally nobody loses in that situation, in my opinion. But
from what I'm hearing,
I hear you, A-Benz, with that, but I feel like it's
and I completely agree with that. And I would, and if he got traded to the championship team, I don't think he would have had a. I mean, like obviously he would have felt some type of way. But from what I'm hearing is that he may in fact retire this year, and he may in fact become a part of that coaching staff or player development for the Toronto Raptors. Yep. You heard it here first. Listen, boys, I am breaking news waiting to happen. I just want y'all to know that. I am breaking news waiting to happen. This is a close source to me. You understand? I'm only 30 miles away from the Canadian border, so I know what's going up in here. Up in here. But hey, listen, that's what I'm hearing. Aside from that, I think they made the right choice. Like you said, Harry, it's a win-win. But what we can agree on, and Harry, do I have your vote on this? Reel the Heat in?
Yeah, reel the Heat in. I just think, just real quick, one more thing about the Kyle. I think even if he retires next year, it still didn't make any sense to me why they didn't trade him, because they're giving him a chance to go win another ring. I think like it's not like a bad thing to trade someone necessarily. It doesn't mean they hate him. I don't know. Anyway, forget all that. But yes, reel it in on the Heat. They're not doing anything this year anyway, and then Oladipo is going to be a free agent. So they didn't give up much to get him, though. So I guess, didn't really hurt. So we'll see what happens with them. And all right, last thing we're going to do. Which was the better pickup? And I know what both the answers are going to be, but Andre Drummond on the Lakers or Evan Fournier on the Celtics?
0 for 10 in 32 minutes in his debut, but we're not going to talk about that.
No, scrap that. Scrap that game. Scrap that game.
I think it's a good pickup for the Celtics. I don't know if you agree with that, Chris D. Deandra, the big time swimmer, Big Fish. I think it's a good pickup for them. I think they could have done more. But I'm not mad at them because I feel like
they suck.
They do. I don't know what's going on in Boston.
Gotta hop on this right now. Boston Celtics suck. As New Yorkers, this is what we're waiting for. They are garbage. Bill Simmons, all this talk about, I want to see Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown play together and I don't want to trade them for Harden. You're an idiot for saying that. You are so dumb for saying that. Sorry. I think you're great. I've listened to your podcast, but that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I'm so glad that it's working out the way it is because, hey, we're in New York and we got to hate on Boston when we can, right?
For sure.
So,
I know you just went off on that little tangent and
Jason Tatum MVP, by the way. We bet on it. It's not going to win, but
I completely agree. And I think we can all attest and say that Andre Drummond is obviously the better pickup. The man on the lowly Cleveland Cavaliers.
It's the more important pickup. It's the more important pickup.
It's the more important pickup. And I think you're getting more value from Andre Drummond. You're getting more impact in the game itself because he doesn't rely on consistently making 3-point shots or pull-up jumpers. He's more around the rim, grabbing rebounds, blocking shots, putbacks. He's averaging a solid 13, 14 points a game, and he's a career 14 rebound per game average rebounder per game throughout his career. So I just see a lot of value over there. So I'm definitely gonna have to say the Lakers. Evan Fournier, my God, what a way to start your debut in Boston. Listen, man, he's got to step it up. And this is what I say. These boys don't get the same exposure when they're in Orlando. Orlando's a very subpar market. We don't really talk about them. They don't play on national TV. So these boys do sometimes ball out. But when it comes to playing with stars, Evan Fournier, you got to do better, man. And listen, if you start balling, I'll give you a shout out 2 weeks from now. But at the moment, 0 for 10 in 32 minutes, you got to do better, buddy. You got to do better. I know the top it ain't looking too good, but you got to do better.
I just think if I'm not mistaken, Evan Fournier also a free agent this year. So to me, it's just like I don't get it. I don't get it.
And that's what I said. They could have done better.
Yeah,
they're trying to replace Hayward. Is where I think that they're missing something though, because Hayward is just on another level.
Made the difference, but I don't think Hayward
doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter.
Oladipo would have been a better pickup.
I don't even know. To me, Boston's just kind of lost. Boston's just lost. I think Boston is waiting, and they're going to need Jason Tatum to take the next step before any of these moves mean anything, because they don't have a legit star. Brad Stevens has done, I'll say, a subpar job this year, whether that's fair or not, but it's just one of those things where he's just done a subpar job.
I think he's out.
I
think he might be out after this season.
Honestly, boys,
5 years. It's been 5 years.
I don't know if he's out, but I will agree with
next
you,
year.
Chris, I will agree with you. I think too much credit has been given to Tatum throughout his career. And I thought this was the year that he was going to be like, you know what, let me put the team on my back. And I just feel like he doesn't do enough on the court for them to be at that championship level. And I feel like he has it in him, but I don't know if the player development down in Boston, they're not doing the right things.
He's good. He's good. He's just not.
But he needs to do more. He needs to do more.
The one thing I would say is, and this is actually who I really blame for the situation, is Danny Ainge. How many years have we been talking about, the Celtics, they have so many assets. They have so many picks. They could trade for someone. They could do this. They could do this. And
they never pulled the trigger. Couldn't get AD.
They never pulled the trigger.
They didn't want Harden.
At the same time, they didn't want Harden. They didn't want Harden. And then all of a sudden you look
around in the last 20 years.
Yeah. And then you look around and you just say to yourself, okay, you're at the trade deadline and the best move you're going to make is Evan Fournier. And you're just like,
Yeah.
no, it doesn't make sense.
It,
Doesn't make sense. So
it doesn't make
blame Danny
sense.
Ainge.
They
He's
had
not-
Kyrie a couple years back. They couldn't retain him. They couldn't hold him.
Yeah.
They couldn't give him what he wanted. They went out and got Kemba Walker, but I mean, Kemba Walker really hasn't been much since coming to the Celtics. He's injury prone, and I just like you said, they haven't. I don't know if it's they haven't been able to pull the trigger. They just haven't been able to land that big player, that big star that they need. So, the better pickup is obviously Andre Drummond.
Okay, and let me just on the Andre Drummond wave. I'm not sure if he's going to solve all the problems the Lakers have defensively. He's not that great. Sure, he's a warm body. Is he going to be better than Gasol? Probably, because Gasol's looked more flat-footed this year than I've ever seen him look in general. But to be fair, is Andre Drummond going to get rebounds? Yeah, but can you play him down the stretch in games? And no. Are the Lakers better with Anthony Davis at the 5? Yes. So does this make a big difference for the Lakers when it comes to championship aspirations? I don't think so.
I think it does. I think it does, and only because of the big man situation they had last year. It's not like we were asking. Well, it's not like they were asking Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee to go out there and give them 10 to 12 points a game. No, this is what you're going to get with Andre Drummond, whether you like it or not, from just simple putback dunks and rebounds. And I think they've been missing that. I think they've been missing that. The Dwight Howard, that's who Dwight Howard was last year. He was an enforcer in the middle of the lane, and he's kind of been an enforcer for Philly as well. So I gotta say, it's a good move. Like you said, Chris, he's not gonna win them games on the offensive end, but he's gonna give them 6 to 7 baskets a game. And you know what he does from the free throw line. So he may not play at the end of games, but I think they just need a physical presence down there to show up rebounding. And Frank Vogel's good when he's mixing the lineups up. So I like the move.
Let me just add this, because I agree with everything. I think Andre Drummond is the more important, but I agree that it's not, it's not like that wins them a championship, right? Like it's not. They got a lot to. AD and LeBron obviously need to get back and be at full force, but I think this might be a forward-looking play to a potential if the Lakers keep moving down, to a potential, couple playoff series where they're like, you know what, we're going to need some size. We're going to need some rebounding. If they play the Jazz, that's a great guy to have out there rebounding the ball. So it might just be a matchup thing. It might just be where we can fit him in. Similar to Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard did not play the whole series against, I believe it was the Nuggets, right? Or the
no,
the Blazers.
No, it was the Blazers.
It was Portland.
It was Portland. Yeah,
the Blazers.
He didn't play at all, and then all of a sudden he's an integral part of like their team for the rest of the way. So it could have just been a move like that where they just need a guy for a potential series where they're seeing a matchup, and obviously Andre Drummond's not going to be out there enough to make the biggest impact. But when you got to sit Anthony Davis, or if God forbid Anthony Davis gets hurt or like can't play as much as they want him to, and they're playing the Jazz, that's a great guy to have rebounding the ball for you, even though he's not going to be a huge threat defensively or offensively in terms of scoring.
If Anthony Davis is not at least 85% of himself, they're not getting past.
But they might need to play him. They might need to play Drummond a low key like 15 to 20 minutes is what I'm saying.
Oh,
like
they might do that regardless.
But I'm saying, all right. So I'm saying, would you rather have nobody to fill that role or Drummond to grab rebounds?
You still have Montrezl as well, boys. Let's not forget.
But Montrezl is not the rebounder that
Montrezl can't play defense.
But with LeBron and AD back in the lineup, they got some good depth, and I think that AD and LeBron not being there has opened the door for certain players to just shine a little more. THT, whatever his name is, Horton. THT. So I mean,
I think he's their best player. Besides, I think he's their fourth.
Dennis Schroeder.
They had Dennis Schroeder was tough too. So
they need to develop.
Maybe
they're going to be pretty solid. I think. I think the Lakers are going to be fine, boys, and I think they're doing the right thing in making sure AD is. I feel like if the playoffs started next week, AD could come back. but I think they're being very precautious.
Oh, man. He's been out a while.
It's the Achilles. I understand.
Oh, I agree with you. That's what I'm saying.
He's been out for like a month and a half now. So, but I just think they're playing it safe because they could be in the 7th spot, the 6th spot, the 8th. It doesn't really matter as long as they don't want to get in the playing game. But as long as they're in the top 7, top 6, they'll be fine.
I'll put it this way too, Harry. If you don't mind me just jumping in here one more time, it scares me in terms of AD's injury and LeBron's injury that they weren't more of buyers come the trade deadline, because I think that would have been a really good.
They should have got Kyle Lowry.
No.
Went and got Kyle Lowry.
They should not have gotten Kyle Lowry.
Why
Kyle
not?
Lowry would not have been the answer. He's not that guy.
I don't think they should have either.
He's a scorer. He's a point guard.
To be frank, if they believed that Anthony Davis and LeBron James were fully healthy, they would have made some kind of move. They would have made something happen to better that team. But the fact that they waited for the buyout market and they waited for Andre Drummond to become available, that concerns me at least for what the potential future is, or what they perceive the future to be of those players. So that's just me reading some tea leaves.
And unless you wanna say Vucevic would somehow be the guy, like an answer for them. Kyle Lowry is by far the best.
If they got a Rashawn Holmes, the best. If they swiped Rashawn Holmes,
Kyle Lowry was by far the best player coming out of this trade deadline. It's not even close.
Not for the Lakers though.
I don't think so. Not for the Lakers. Not
with LeBron playing, but I'm saying, like, if you're talking about LeBron being out, that's what you're saying. Like, they would have went out and got someone.
No, that's what, if LeBron was playing, I don't think they would have ended up. I'm saying Kyle Lowry wouldn't have been an answer. I'm saying they would have looked for a legitimate rim stopper that they could put in there to play 26 minutes a game. And I think Rashawn Holmes could have been something like that. But again, who are you giving up to do it?
I think we're
they really strap for assets.
I think we're giving their bench way too much credit too. I feel like they do not have a deep team at all. I feel like they really suck without LeBron and AD. I think
without LeBron,
there might be the bottom. They're
6-5 without LeBron with this bad bench.
I can't believe they're even 6-5.
Exactly. So just put that in perspective. They're 6-5 without LeBron. That's in the West. That says a lot.
It's high for me.
When they've lost bad. But the wins they've managed to squabble.
Bro. All right, they're 6-5 without LeBron. You want to know who they beat? They beat the Magic, the Cavaliers. They lost to the Sixers. They lost to the Pelicans. They lost to the Suns. They lost to the Hawks. They beat the Hornets. They beat the Timberwolves. They beat the Warriors, which I don't know. I don't know when this stops, and they beat the Pacers. So, like, let's relax with their 6.
But you can't say that because it's basically bench players playing. They beat the Warriors and they beat the Pacers. Those aren't easy W's. They should have beat the Timberwolves, which they did.
Well, no, I don't think so. I mean, Minnesota, if you actually look at their team from top to bottom, I mean, you have Anthony Edwards, who's Harry G's favorite rookie right now, balling out, and you got Karl-Anthony Towns. Like they got a roster that ain't crazy, but they beat them. So
you got to give them their props. They're not as weak as people think they are, and I think this is great for their players to be developing. And I think that's why they didn't make a big move, because they're like, we're going to be fine. And I think they know a little more than we do. I'm pretty sure they do. I'm pretty sure AD's fine. They're milking him. We're not rushing you back, big man. You listen, you hearing me? Relax, okay? So I think they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine.
I give you a lot of props. I would have, if you told me over the last 10 games, let's say, or 11 games, like if you said what's been the record for them, I would have guessed 4 wins max.
Yeah, and I was thinking the same thing too, but I actually I was checking them out and I was like, all right, let me see what they've been doing, because I keep hearing about let's get somebody during the trade deadline. I was like, they're staying afloat. They're staying afloat. No, they're in the 4th seed.
Yeah, because I was concerned in the back of my mind that they're going to get into like a play-in game type of situation in some way, shape, or form. But
I think the next closest team is like 4 or 5 games back. No, they'll be fine.
It's concerning. You think there's 12 games left?
They need both of them back though. That's
Oh, yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
not
No
even a
doubt, no
question,
doubt, no
right?
doubt.
They need both of them back. So hopefully they come back and they're healthy and we can have a competitive Western Conference playoff run for them and for the rest of the league. You know, it's going to be crazy coming down the stretch. There's so much. The East is so close right now in terms of who's, the Knicks, I think, are rocking the 4 seed, which will take it. But I think they're like a half a game up on like 3 teams. And then on the Western Conference, it's kind of similar where it's like it's very close in the middle there. And we'll see what happens. But either way, it's going to be crazy. And you're going to get all that coverage right here on True Ballers Pod. Make sure to follow us on Instagram. We're coming out with a website soon. So look out for that. And yeah, we'll be in touch, but stay true, stay hungry.